a lot.
Or higher.
It's very,
It's
or higher.
now approaching 10.
Or higher.
Yeah.
And the same with the larger, the same or even more
Yeah.
for the very large Quebecois and Ontarian pension funds. Now, it happened by its own device, ex nihilo, as we say in Latin, or did some policymakers at provincial, state, or federal level encourage that with fiscal or other means?
No, it's interesting. I mean, the central challenge in the Australian system is you have a very fast-growing, large system, now 150% of the economy. You have to diversify and invest long-term because it's a defined contribution system. Where do you invest the money? I mean, it's an interesting challenge to have. Where do you put your assets? You can only put so much in Australia. And so it was essentially trustee-driven in the sense that they saw opportunities that hadn't traditionally existed outside traditional equities.
And back then there was no fiscal.
No direct government pressure.
Okay.
No incentives per se. What government did do, of course, and it's interesting in a political context, governments of both right and left in Australia privatised existing assets, so the telecommunications, no strings attached.
Oh.
And therefore it was natural for the pension. And the other point about infrastructure is that it's less volatile than equity markets in the main. And the other point about governments is they wanted the best price, so they invariably privatised.
Right.
I mean, a port and an airport is a natural monopoly, and subject. I mean, they put some constraints on the capacity to obtain a monopoly price. So they're actually very good investments.
Right.
And from then, funds created their own subsidiary investment entity.
As a policymaker, so there could be potentially in some cases some kind of schizophrenia, because it's all well and good to in infrastructure as a new asset class, but haven't you encountered any kind of resentment from some users of the ports or the highways saying, oh my God, the fees, the toll I have to pay when I drive my car to work has doubled in...
We've now got some very large funds. They are, rather than grouping together, and they sometimes do it with Canadian or US funds, they are so large they can bid by themselves. Directly. They can be listed or unlisted, take them private. These assets are very useful, as I've mentioned, higher return, less volatility, particularly in a defined contribution system post-retirement. And then the other evolution, which I find really fascinating, is that because government debt is a dirty word in Australia on both sides of the political fence, and you do have low government debt.
Very little action in that direction. There may be infrastructure institutions and plans and so on, but actual assets coming to the market, and you exclude then countries like Australia and UK, where most of the infrastructure is already privatized, so those things are gone. I don't see many countries that have a great appetite politically to have such major privatization programs.
Yeah.
Also,
we're here in France, and I just want to make a quick remark. We're here in France, and some of Australia or the US have seen the yellow vest demonstrations, which have sadly tarnished the image of our country. And what I would say, the yellow vest movement, in many ways, is a resurgence of another movement that started in Brittany, in northwest France, 7-8 years ago, and it was called Les Bonnets Rouges, right? And that movement, Les Bonnets Rouges, or the ancestors of the Yellow Vest, started precisely because of a new toll road between Brittany and Paris for lorry drivers. So that can be politically very expensive and costly.
Everything in Britannia or Normandy, but apart from that, but you do see various spots of political backlash. For example, water has become a very delicate subject. I mean, for example, in southern Italy, there have been cases where the potential privatization of water has really changed the political scene locally, and the same in northern Germany with electricity, where some of the municipalities are actually taken, sort of re-nationalized or re-socialized. I'm not quite sure how to phrase it. Communalized the energy distribution. So we're seeing, and of course the